The first thing I saw was the way the sunlight hit the chrome of his driver. My father gripped it casually, leaning on it like a cane, laughing with his buddies. I stood a few feet away, pretending to scroll my phone, blending into the edges of his world, like I always had. Then came his voice, sharp, apologetic, dismissing me before I could even breathe. My daughter's between jobs, hasn't found her path yet. Their laughter, polite, pitying, the kind that strips flesh from bone. But then Davidson squinted, tilted his head. His voice carried like a crack of thunder. "Wait, aren't you the quantum energy CEO from yesterday's CNBC interview?" The world slowed. My father's hands slipped. The club clattered against the turf. His face drained of color. And I smiled, just barely. Because this wasn't an accident. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. I was 11 the first time I learned what my father thought of me. He stood at the head of the dining table, drink in hand, telling his friends about my brother's scholarship offers. Then he looked at me, half laughing. "And this one? She's creative, not the academic type." Everyone laughed. Everyone except me. I learned to wear silence like armor, to take every insult, every smirk, every dismissal, and forge it into fuel. He thought he was shaping me with criticism. He was wrong. He was building a weapon. By 21, I graduated top of my class. No one came. My father sent a text. "Congrats, don't let it go to your head." By 25, I had my first startup. He told me it was cute that I was playing business. By 28, I had my first acquisition. He asked me if I was dating anyone, something serious, because a husband's stability would help. Every success I achieved was met with dismissal. Every milestone diminished. To him, I was always unfinished, always less. But the truth? I was building something he couldn't even fathom. I noticed the betrayal creeping in the way he introduced me. To family, she's figuring things out. To friends, she's still searching. To strangers, silence. He'd skip over me entirely. Until one evening I overheard him on the phone. "She's not like her brother. He's the one who'll carry the family name. She'll find someone to marry, eventually." That was the night my chest burned with something cold. Not sadness, not pain. Something cleaner, sharper. I didn't want his approval anymore. I wanted him to choke on his underestimation. So I planned. Quietly, patiently. I built quantum energy in silence, while he thought I was between jobs. I built networks, partnerships, alliances. I courted investors who'd never sit at his dinner table, but would one day own the very ground he walked on. I gave no tells, no signs. I let him believe his own fiction. I let him dig his own grave with every dismissive laugh. And then came CNBC. The night before the interview aired, I didn't call, I didn't warn him. I let the world hear me before he did. I walked into that studio wearing steel disguised as silk, talking about renewable grids, partnerships with European firms, and the $1.2 billion valuation we'd just closed. By the time the cameras cut, quantum energy was a headline, and I was no longer invisible. Which brings us back to the golf course, to Davidson's squint, his recognition, his question that cut the world open. "Wait, aren't you—" My father's grip slipped. The club hit the ground. I looked up from my phone and let my eyes meet his. Not with anger, not with gloating, just calm acknowledgement. "Yes," I said, stepping forward so every one of his friends could hear. "That's me." The silence was brutal. You could hear the faint hiss of sprinklers in the distance. Davidson broke it first. "Hell of a company you've built. Your father must be proud." My father's lips parted, but no sound came out. His face crumpled into something I'd never seen before, something fragile. And I realized then, this was the moment. Not revenge shouted, Not revenge screamed, but revenge delivered. Quietly, publicly, irrevocably. He stumbled through the rest of the game, missing shots, fumbling with tees, his hands trembling just enough that his friends noticed. I didn't have to humiliate him further. His silence was humiliation enough. The man who always prided himself on control had lost it entirely. And not because I attacked him, but because I became undeniable. That night, he called me, his voice small. "Why didn't you tell me?" I let the question sit, let him stew in the years of dismissal. Finally, I said, "Would you have listened?" Silence. He knew the answer. I hung up before he could respond. I'm not naive. I know he'll try to rewrite the story, to claim pride where he once sowed doubt. He'll try to drape himself in my success, like a coat he never earned. But the truth? He'll never escape that golf course. He'll never forget the sting of Davidson's question, the way his friends look.